Did credit bureaus ignore your dispute? Did they fail to remove false information? Because if they did, you can actually position them to get sued and you can possibly get paid. Once again, thank you guys for watching. What's going on, everybody? Today we're going to be talking about how to properly sue credit bureaus, okay? And this is information that nobody is talking about. Well, people will sell you on the information, but I'm going to tell you exactly how to do it. Okay, it's not many videos out there about how to do this properly, so we're going to talk about it today. Okay, also going to break it down step by step, so make sure you have a notebook and a notepad, all right, so that you can be able to govern yourself accordingly. Another thing I want to highlight is that this is not legal advice. At the end of this all, I still will tell you to go seek legal advice, and also at the same time educate yourself. Do your due diligence. Review some of these laws and some of these information yourself. Take notes so that you can go do your own due diligence after the fact. If you and I are clear on that, then continue to watch this video. Also at the end, if you stay to the end, I have a special treat for you guys that you guys will be able to take advantage of. And again, I don't think anybody's putting this information out there like I am. So if so, stay to the end. Now, first things first, man. Why you can sue credit bureaus, and essentially we're going to talk about how to understand your rights under the Fair Credit Reporting Act. Okay, so first off, the credit reporting agencies must follow 15 U.S.C. Chapter 41, Subchapter 3, Credit Reporting Agencies, which is 15 U.S.C. 1681. All right, now under 15 U.S.C. 1681, all right, they have information literally about the well, number one, just to break this down, the fact that they must investigate disputes within 30 days, all right, and they must provide accurate, fair, and verifiable credit reporting, okay? And also at the same time, there's a need to ensure that consumer reporting agencies exercise their grave responsibilities with fairness, impartiality, and respect for a consumer's right to privacy. So they also have to respect your right to privacy, okay? Why? Because the banks are dependent upon this fair and accurate credit reporting. And if you guys know anything about the United States, they are dependent, the banks pretty much make the money in the United States. All right. Now, if you want to go here and look at the definitions and understand the Privacy Act under the Fair Credit Reporting Act, okay, if you want to understand what should be on the credit report, you can come to 1681C. If you want to understand identity theft, you can come to C1. If you want to understand what they do in result to identity theft, you can come to C2. All right. Now, I will only recommend doing identity theft if you have evidence that can back up your identity theft. Because typically what happens is they'll block your information for a certain period of time, but they'll put the stuff back on there after they do a reinvestigation. Now, if anybody's out here doing credit repair and just doing the identity theft method, be careful, because they are cracking down on credit repair companies that just do the identity theft disputes, okay? 15 U.S.C. 1681D, disclosure of investigative consumer reports, okay? It is clearly and accurately disclosed to a consumer that an investigative consumer report included information to his character, general reputation, personal characteristics, mode of living, whichever are applicable, may be made of such disclosures are made in writing, so on and so forth. This one talks a little bit about disclosures, okay, and what disclosures should be sent to them. All right, it also talks about the major violations that the Fair Credit Reporting Act can do. So things like they cannot ignore your dispute, especially if it's valid. They cannot fail to remove incorrect information. They cannot report outdated information. They also cannot just reinsert removed accounts without proper notice. They also cannot respond to your letters, especially for asking them to verify verify their investigation. Okay. Now, all of this is protected under 15 U.S.C. 1681I, procedures in case of a disputed accuracy. So when you dispute something and you're trying to test to see if it's inaccurate or not, based off of this subsection, without me reading all of this, they have to be 100% accurate. And they must provide documentary evidence that proves every single thing that they determine as accurate, and they must do it within 30 days. If they do not do this within 30 days, they must delete the item from the file. Okay? If they send you a letter saying it's verified, that is them actually not providing the proper information that you asked for. Okay? They are required by 15 USC 1681I to provide that documentary evidence that proves whatever it is that they are saying. Okay? So they have 30 days and no more than 15 additional days if they ended up receiving information from the consumer. So again, if you send a letter in or more information after you have sent your initial letter, then they get an additional 15 days. But other than that, if you haven't sent them nothing after your first letter, they only have 30 days. And if we get to 31 days and they have not taken any action or they have ignored you, they are violating this subsection 15 USC 1681I. Okay? But this is why it's important to follow and do the dispute processes like I'm about to talk about. Okay? So the first thing you want to do is you want to make sure you gather evidence. Okay? The way you would gather evidence is by actually taking them through the dispute process. A lot of times what we try to do is different methods of, CFPB complaints, and I'll talk about that and how to use that effectively. People try to do identity theft. People try to do all different types of things to get things removed fast. And yes, sometimes those things work, but a lot of times that stuff, is hit or miss. And what happens is once a lot of people start doing it, then they start changing their strategies and the stuff stops working. But what's always been able to work is you being able to dispute your inaccuracies. And if you dispute your inaccuracies the proper way, then you will essentially create more of a paper trail. Okay, if you have a paper trail, then now you can essentially take this information in courts as substantial evidence. Now, I hope you guys are taking notes, okay? Because I'm not tech yet with the editing and all of that. Don't have an editor. I edit all my videos myself. So take notes, listen to the things that I'm saying, write down any essential piece of information. And if you need to, go back and watch this video multiple times if you need to. Now, you want to send, so first thing is first, if you want to dispute incorrect information, all right, you have to do this before you file a lawsuit. All right, you can't just file a lawsuit, this, that, and the third. Try to build substantial evidence first. So first things first, man, you want to send your disputes via certified mail. You can send them your FCRA disputes, by just following the Fair Credit Reporting Act. And essentially using the Fair Credit Reporting Act, you can pretty much write a letter disputing those inaccuracies. Down below, I have a credit repair software that allows you to create letters for free. Yes, you pay for credit monitoring, but you can create your letters for free, and you can take these letters and use that to essentially have AI create your letters for you. If you do this on a consistent basis, then this will allow you to build a paper trail between you and the credit bureaus themselves or the credit agencies. All right. Now, every single letter that you send, you want to make sure you keep copies of every single letter and you keep copies of every single way that they have responded. Okay? You also want to send your letter certified. All right. Now, on the platform, you can send your letter certified online, but the best case scenario is if you download your letters and you take it to the post office and you certify it yourself. Okay, keep track of when they receive these things so that you can start your countdown. Now, after you sent your dispute, you don't want to do it online. Yes, you can do it online and cup it with an online dispute. But what I would recommend is if you actually send in the disputes by hand, go into the post office, go into a postmaster. If you can get it notarized, that's even better, but it's not, it's recommended, but it's not mandatory. Okay? So send your first dispute. Okay? Typically, after you send your first dispute, they, if they have verified your information, okay, and that's typically what happens after you send them a letter, they'll verify your information and say, oh, it's verified. All right? But if they verify it, then essentially you have a right to send them a method of verification letter. Hey, please please provide the method of verification according to 15 USC 1681I. And given the fact that they're an agency, it's not that you got to explain this entire section to them all you got to do is quote 15 USC 1681I, and they are required by law to provide all the documentary evidence that proves their verification. Okay? And it cannot just be 99% verified or accurate. It has to be 100%. So they can't just send you a bill statement from Capital One and that's their verification. No, I need all the documentary evidence to prove that I'm actually attached to this account. Who did you speak to? Who did you talk to? And more guidelines that's under 15 U.S.C. 1681I. Okay? Now, typically you want to give them about 15 days. If they don't respond within 15 days, then essentially that's another violation. Okay? This is if you want to fast track the process and you want to get them to move fast. Obviously, you can just send your letters, wait the 30 days out each time. There's nothing wrong with doing that, but as long as you're building a case, when you are ready, you can take them to court. Now, after you have done this, that's pretty much 2 letters. All right. You want to take these 2 letters and then you want to file a complaint and escalate it with the CFPB. If you file a complaint, all you have to do is go to consumerfinance.gov, or you can Google the CFPB, and you want to come here and submit a complaint. Okay? You can start a new complaint and they'll have you create an account. And then once you create an account, boom, boom, boom. I may do a separate video on how to do the CFPB complaint, or I may do like a short reel or TikTok. But essentially just come here, create your account, and boom. Now you have created your account. We're good to go. So that's the CFPB. We'll save that for another video. So before you sue, just file a complaint with the CFPB. The CFPB may be able to help you get results much faster, and you may not have to go to court. You also want to document that they've been non-compliant, because under the Fair Credit Reporting Act, non-compliance is actually a civil offense. Okay, under 15 U.S.C. 1681N, civil liability for willful non-compliance. Any person who willfully fails to comply with any requirement imposed under this subchapter with respect to a consumer is liable to that consumer in any amount equal to the sum of the actual damages sustained by the consumer as a result of the failure, not less than 100 but more, and not more than 1,000, okay, for each violation. And also at the same time for court fees and legal fees and things in that nature. All right. And this for willful non-compliance, literally knowing that they have to do something and willfully not. And then on the other foot, for negligent non-compliance, for if it's a case where they ignore your method of verification, or they ignore your dispute, they're just being negligent. And the law has no tolerance for negligence. Okay, so you can also assess them up to $1,000 for this as well. Okay, all of this is documented in the Constitution. All of this is documented and written by Congress. So anybody who says, oh man, this stuff doesn't work, well, if you follow exactly what Congress tells you to do, then this stuff will work. Okay, if you do it properly, and yes, it may take trial and error. Yes, maybe the first time it doesn't work, but the second time it may work. And the more and more that you do it, the more and more that you're going to get better at it. Okay. So essentially what you want to do is when you actually file your complaint with the CFPB, you want to quote these laws, especially 15 U.S.C. 1681I, and how they did not provide that method of verification according to that. And you will be in an even better position for suit. Okay. If you have taken these steps, then you have done everything in your power to dispute inaccuracies. Okay. And essentially where you win when it comes to credit bureaus is when you are in a position where they have wronged you. They haven't done something proper, and they are the big company. They're the big company that have a grave responsibility according to Congress to report accurate and fair, dated, updated information, and verifiable and authorized information. If they are not reporting this stuff, then they are actually affecting the public confidence in the banking system, because essentially the banking system relies this for someone's credit worthiness, and they use this as a way to deny people. And when people get denied, we stop going to banks. Okay. Now, here's how you're going to file your lawsuit with the credit bureaus or against the credit bureaus. First things first, man, you want to determine your jurisdiction, whether you want to do small claims court or whether you want to do federal court. Typically, if there's any, if your claims are going to be under $10,000, then do it in small claims court. But if you're going to do anything above $10,000, you want to go to federal court, okay? And if you go to federal court, we'll talk about that. You want to have legal representation. In small claims, you have a better chance of not having a legal representation. But again, still consult a legal professional, okay? Now, how you essentially would do this, you would draft and file your complaint. You want to mention all the violations under the FCRA, 15 USC 1681. You want to include all your supporting evidence, so your letters, your method of verification letter, your CFPB complaint, you reaching out to the companies and so on and so forth. If you have recorded phone calls, things like that, you want to be able to submit your evidence and their responses. You want to clearly state your damages, whether it was financial harm, a violation, you was denied credit because of certain things, emotional distress. And even on the emotional distress side, if you can go and get some type of therapy and talk about your emotional distress because of this may actually help your case even more. Okay. And then lastly, you want to serve the credit bureaus. Most people don't know how to do this part. So typically, this is where they kind of get stuck at. But you want to go through a process server. You want to go through a sheriff, right? And if you do this, then you'll know exactly for a fact that they actually have gotten your paperwork, because someone literally went in person and delivered there and served them directly. All right, that's a process server. And typically credit bureaus have 30 days to respond. After they've been processed and they have been served and you have filed your complaint, wait 30 days. Okay. Now, what happens after you file? After you have filed, the credit bureaus will likely try to settle, because they usually don't win in these cases, especially when you have evidence. Okay. So typically they may offer to delete negative items or pay a settlement, especially if you put some type of damages and things like that. They may offer to delete those negative items and say, you know what, we'll do that. All right. Instead of paying you this money, we'll do that. But if your numbers are high, then they may try to settle and get that number down, especially if they have violated your rights, have many different violations that they cannot answer to, then they may try to bring it down. Now, there is a chance that if you do settle, that there's a potential to, them not removing these negative items. Okay. Now, if they don't settle, okay, after 30 days, be prepared for court. Don't do this if you're not prepared to go to court. All right. This is why some things do take long and some people do wait, and it's okay to wait as long as you have your evidence and you're being consistent and you're sending letters on a consistent basis. But when you are ready, be prepared to go to court. Okay. Most cases don't make it to trial because the bureaus don't want bad press. So typically what happens is, even when you get there, they may potentially, try to settle as well in the courtroom, or they may settle in the mediation room. Okay. Typically how it goes is there's multiple chances for the company to want to settle. Usually it could be typically after your CFPB complaint. If not after the CFPB complaint, then when you file your complaint through the court. And then after you file your complaint through the court, I forgot to mention that you want to send them an intent to litigate. Hey, I'm going to litigate, take you guys to court and sue you guys for these damages. Okay. And then also at the same time, after you have done that and you send them an intent to litigate, that's another opportunity for them to want to mediate with you and possibly settle. And then we dive into after you have done that and they have been processed and served by the sheriff in person, they have another chance to mediate and negotiate with you. But if after all of those chances, they still don't mediate and negotiate with you, right? Be prepared to go to court. When you go to court, you also have a couple chances to mediate as well. As soon as you get to the court and, they're going to call out your name and say, hey, is this person here? Is the person representing Experian here? And you guys are going to stand up, or you guys are going to go up, kind of check in. That attorney is going to come find you and take a look at and say, damn, I see that we kind of have this going on. You kind of have to exchange evidence and information and what you guys have on each other. And then at that point, you guys can also mediate. So if after all of that, they still don't want to mediate, be ready to bring your A game, okay? But for the most part, they're going to mediate. The thing is if you are just trying to go after the negative items on your credit report, then most cases is going to get dismissed and they'll settle for that. It's only when you want to get a certain amount of money, or we get over $10,000 or something like that, then you'll potentially go to trial. But usually if it's just to remove some negative items and you have your substantial evidence, then it's not going to go to trial, and they're going to mediate to at least get those negative items removed. The only thing that will push them to continue to keep going is if they if you are trying to get that money. And it's okay. Go ahead and get that money. You know what I mean? Do your due diligence. Be strong in your claims and be confident. Don't let them scare you, because they'll try to scare you. All right? So again, you can charge them up to $1,000 per violation. All right? So if the violation's piled up, or if you've been disputing this stuff over a year's time and you've been asking for this information, and you really count up all those violations, you could get over 10, 20, 30, or maybe even $100,000 suits if you get an attorney. Okay. But the biggest thing is you want a full credit report correction, because remember, if your credit is cleaned up and correct, then you can essentially go and get funding. $100,000 in funding. You can get no doc loans, from banks, and that's really the true value. Yes, we can get paid up front, and we could take these credit bureaus to task. It does cost a little bit of extra time and money to get, if you're especially trying to get that type of compensation or remedy, but it will all pay off in the end. Okay, so once again, I do have a special treat for you guys. Down below, I have a full court template that essentially, if you wanted to file a lawsuit, I have a template down below. Okay, and for the first 24 hours, all right, you can get it for only $7. As a matter of fact, I won't make it $7. Okay, as a matter of fact, I'll make it completely free. You can get this legal template completely free. All right, I just put it together. You guys go ahead and tap in, get the free template down below, especially if you made it all the way to the end. All right, and I only have it free for the first 48 hours. Okay, I know I switched up when you guys, told you guys $7, but I'm gonna do it for completely free. Okay, won't say for the future, it's gonna change, so I would definitely tell you guys to take advantage of it right now. And if you're seeing this video after the time has passed, it's probably going to be $7, maybe even higher. Okay, so I'm posting this on February 7th, and the people that take advantage of it on February 7th all the way to February 9th, you guys got it for free. But it's February 10th, it's probably not free anymore. Okay, thank you guys for watching this video. It's been a blessing to give you guys this information, give you this game. If you're brand new, like, comment, and subscribe. Leave more questions down below, more ideas, more things you want me to talk about, and I will do it. I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next one.